Welcome back to Kumba Hineni, a podcast on intersectionality, more than skin deep. I'm your host, Enzi. And this week, y'all, I'm actually pretty excited about this episode. We are a week away from the 2022 midterm elections. And this is something I've thought about and wanted to talk about for a long time, and that is not really about the politics of elections, but about the experience that I can't speak for others, so I'll speak for myself, but the experience that I, as a neurodivergent person, have during an election season. I'm a person who really believe in local politics. Like I really believe that it is important to be involved and engaged in our system. One of the hardest things I have trouble with is making phone calls, sending text messages to people I don't know. It is an extreme struggle. Knocking on doors is something that I am almost physically impossible capable of doing. And for a long time, I felt a lot of shame around not being able to knock on doors, especially during this time period where there's a lot of text banking, and I have a strong anxiety around even text banking. And I finally got to the point of realizing that it's okay to not be able to do things that you think maybe you should be able to do. We're all not the same, and we all have different gifts and ways in which we can have an impact on all of the things that is happening. One of the things that I struggle with, especially when elections are really close, is what is my role? What is my piece in this big overarching concept? How do I support? How do I push and participate in our system? Particularly not just not just by voting, but also by participating, by knocking on doors and those things. And where I landed for myself, what I realized is reaching out to folks who I know and that I can speak with is something that I'm capable of doing. One of the things that I really want you to think about is if making calls, if knocking on doors, if text messaging is really, really difficult for you. And that could be for many reasons, right? That could be for cognitive abilities. That could be for whatever reasons. I really want to encourage you to ask the question, what can you do? Not what other folks have done, but what can you do to make the difference that you are hoping to make? I, for a long time, have not been able to explain, or really even for myself understand why my anxiety gets so high. And it just does. And we don't need to necessarily have those exact answers. We really don't. So, this was a short episode, but I really wanted to share this because I don't think that I'm alone in this experience of feeling as if I cannot give as much as others because of the extreme toll it takes on me to make phone calls, text messaging, to do those types of things. And I want you to know that if you are one of those people who really want to participate but find it really hard to, if you're a person who forces yourself to participate and you get home after these events and you have meltdowns or you're exhausted, I really encourage you to ask yourself if there's other ways for you to participate, or how can you engage and still honor who you are and still understand who you are. So Again, thank you all for listening to Kumba Hineni, a podcast on intersectionality more than skin deep. I'm your host, Enzi. Next week, y'all. Kumba Hineni, a podcast on intersectionality more than just skin deep, is a part of the Jew Folk Podcast Network, a product of Jew Folk Inc. You can email the show at podcast@tcjewfolk.com. For more information, go to tcjewfolk.com/podcast.